As I age, the simultaneous biggest gift and ego boost for me are my nearsighted friends. They say that I haven't changed at all. And you know what? From their viewpoint, that's true. Welcome, welcome, and then one more hearty welcome to Bangs and Botox, women who wear aging well, brought to you by, well, me, Diane Dean-Epps, author of Bangs and Botox, the humor book, comedian, teacher, baby boomer, writer, Mimi and mama to the second power. I'm a woman with a big voice, big ideas, and lots to say about what I believe is our shared experience. This podcast is about many things: empowerment, freedom, laughing at the silly everyday occurrences in life. And it's also about encouraging you to own your space and place in this world. While it's true, this is a one woman, all Diane channel show, meaning there aren't any guests. It's designed for you, the woman who is wearing aging well. And about that aging part, Bangs and Botox isn't limited to the over 50 crew because we're all aging. It's just about transitions as you head on down the timeline. I love everything about Jamie Lee Curtis, including this quote: "We are all going to age and soften and mellow and transition. All of us, if we're lucky. There are plenty of things to be anti about: anti-discrimination, anti-drug, anti-oppression, anti-poverty, and anti-sickness. Anti-aging isn't one of them. We need to become pro-aging and embrace the opportunities that aging provides." Well said, Jamie. By the way, she has oodles of great aging quotes that will inspire you. And as is my usual, the welcome mat is always out for you, my male listeners. We're all dealing with societal expectations, career pressures, family stress, and relationship challenges, just to name a few. We all love women, or one woman. And even more importantly, we all love and need to laugh. So here's to finding humor anywhere and in anything we can. It's a slice of wonderful to be here with you today for our comedy clatch that I refer to as sit down, stand up. If you're dwelling in one of the 48 states that observe daylight saving time, and it's actually saving singular, crazy as that sounds, then you've just finished setting up all of your old school analog clocks to the proper time. If you're like me, you drive an older car, which means whenever there's a time change, I have to dig out the fuzz encrusted, crusty sticky note from my glove compartment that reminds me how to do just that. That's one to do down, and another to don't is coming your way later in the show. When last we shared the airwaves together, I talked about how active seniors dress, want to dress, are led to believe they should dress, in my saucily titled episode, "What Are You Wearing?" I riffed about how I'm still soldiering on in the face of societal expectations as to what the elderly should be wearing, and how things have become really hard related to what I wear, specifically like tying my shoes, for Pete's sake. So how we should, could, would, are dressing and adorning ourselves was the overarching topic. And I shared "Held Prisoner by My Sports Bra," a humorous little ditty centering around attire that I love to wear, activewear, that works for me, usually, until it didn't. And then I had to embark upon a completely different kind of activity. Today's show title, "What Are Your Senior Superpowers?" can refer to really anything that can be classified as a superpower, even if you haven't found that particular power that you have very useful. I'll give you a strong example of that one later on in the podcast during Storytime with Diane. In my estimation, superpowers can be a mixture of the serious and the funny. I feel that statement probably applies to everything I talk about, not just superpowers. Maybe you're a gerbil whisperer, an accurate weather predictor based on that achy trick knee that talks to you when a certain weather front is coming on in, or maybe you have a photographic memory. Actually, my dad had that last one, which, that's even tougher when you're growing up for so many reasons when your parent has that superpower. Feels like they also have the superpower of being invisible along with it. You possess an exceptional skill or natural talent or three, 1, 2, 3, 20, where you excel uniquely. One of my superpowers I can't really list on a resume, and it hasn't made me any money yet, is my ability to remember these crazy cultural tidbits. Plus, I have an uncanny ability to just whip out these disparate tidbits of knowledge that include a wide range of non-mega star performers from a variety of countries. I remember their names. I just see them in the credits and they just encode for some reason, and I don't know why. I can also predict and frequently spout out the next line a character will utter in a play, show, or movie. I try to only play the home version of this game so as not to be shushed and shown the door when I'm enjoying entertainment outside the home. These quirky skills, we'll call them. They're only impressive when you're hanging out with me in real time. And boy, I'm really giving myself a lot there saying they're impressive, right? You might just kind of go, interesting. But maybe you share these gifts. We'll call them. I call yours gifts because I wanted to, up-level it. Or are there others? Before we get to those, I want to ever so briefly mention you can engage with the subject matter of this show and me, only if you want to, of course, because Bangs and Botox is distributed by a number of providers: Spotify, Apple, YouTube. They're all listed on my website at DianeDean-Epps There you'll find loads of goodies, including the Bangs and Botox podcast tab. These channels are all absolutely free. This is not a subscription-only podcast. It's for the masses. Drop me a line through my website contact page or give me a shout out in the comments section of your chosen channel. Okay, there's my engagement plug that I want to make sure and never ever leave out. So I was talking about superpowers. There's a list of very serious superpowers that it includes things like empathy, social intelligence, learning ability, creativity, physical dexterity, optimism, and endurance. These represent, that's just the short list. There's just a ton of them. And if you get bored anytime, you can just let your fingers do the searching. On the serious side, I'd say I'm extremely empathetic to the point of emotional and physical pain sometimes. I mean, no joke. And my intuition is off the charts, having proven its presence in my life time and again when it's done everything from keeping me safe to connecting me to people. It's a gift I don't question anymore. I just appreciate it. It doesn't matter whether I received these superpowers from my genetics, my experiences, the universe, nor a divine being. Whoa, that's some pretty heavy, heady, double snap stuff right there, isn't it? Woo! Yes, it is. Now, sometimes, as in the case of me, superpowers can be odd. Maybe not super helpful, but bountiful. And so this could be tricky unless you're a comedian like me, and then it's comedic gold. Well, at least in my mind, and often on the proverbial paper. So, I misguidedly thought when I got older, there would be less conflict in my life. Oh, I'm so cute sometimes. And that things would run smoothly. Oh, that's another. Things would run smoothly. Oh, just for an hour would be good. And awkwardness would be a thing of the past, just firmly held in the time capsule that houses all of my growing up embarrassments. Nope. Uh-uh. Negative. Wrong, wrong, wrong. For me, being an active senior is the real awkward phase. And before I get to the superpower that's not so super, which is what I call this next little story I'm going to tell you, I do have one crazy superpower. I guess I'll call it that. I feel like maybe I'm elevating it, but I'm going to mention it because it's just so weird and uncomfortable sometimes. Now that I'm older, this superpower I'm going to tell you about, it's not negative, but it ain't positive either. It just is. So, what is it? I have game now when I'm chatting with, for me, the opposite sex is who I'm attracted to. So when I'm chatting with men now, just casually, in a gym, hello, how are you? I turn into this person that is somewhat charming and I'm not tongue-tied. Where the heck was that woman 40 years ago? We don't know. Questions that will never be answered. Now, what is my not so superpower? Well, here it is. I can make any situation awkward. Let me tell you, that is no mean feat. You know how people often trot out the phrase, oh, that just comes so naturally to you. Yeah, well, that's not always a good thing because making things awkward is something I do with a zero effort. Sometimes these awkward occurrences take the form of very short, uncomfortable interludes, and sometimes the awkwardness just goes on and on in possession of incredible situational hang time. At least it feels that way to me. Like, just this morning, when I was getting gas. It seems like a fairly innocuous task, doesn't it? Well, you tell me. As I was milling around waiting for gas to glug into my tank, I heard one of my favorite songs blasting out of a pretty decent sounding speaker. Whenever I hear most any song I'm fond of, and I know at least one word that resides in the lyrics somewhere, I'm apt to sing out my version of that sucker. Social filter be damned. Well, as it turns out, I actually knew about 7 words for this tune. So I started belting out my rendition of Come and Get Your Love. Ooh, well, just as my tank burbled up to the fill line, I was really bringing it home with my vocals when I turned around to replace the gas pump nozzle and locked eyes with a guy of a certain age who seemed to really be enjoying the floor show. A lot. Uh-oh. Time stood still, as it seems to do when I'm fully engaged in the first caps here, awkward situation launch sequence. That's when I also realized the song was emanating from his car. This is an excellent time to circle back around with a quick recap. I'm singing Come and Get Your Love with gusto directly to a person I've never met. I had many thoughts swirling about with potential quips. None of them were going to salvage this weird, seemingly flirty little invitation. My brain went into overdrive, which meant all I could think to do was to kind of saucily throw the nozzle onto the hook as I then threw myself into my car, throwing it into drive and fleeing the scene. The funny thing about my make any situation more awkward superpower is I forget I have it until something happens. There's no pattern to the wretched timing. It just happens when it happens. That means I'm forever lulled into a false sense of security that I won't have one of these embarrassment inducing episodes until the siren song that is my own behavioral responses sets me up again. It was only last Wednesday when I had, well, besides this morning, when I had my last awkward situation. What was I doing when it occurred? Oh, something known as being socially risky. I was trying to leave the yoga studio. I had just enjoyed a vigorous breathing session that found me drafting off my feel-good endorphins when I wandered over to the cubby holes where I retrieved my shoes and keys. Now I just needed to grab my mat, and then I'd head home to my sensible dinner, consisting of anything I can find in the refrigerator and eat while I'm standing in front of it. I noticed two women were chatting away on the bench where I had temporarily left my mat. Just grab it and go. That's all I had to do. What could possibly go wrong? Well, let me tell you what could possibly go wrong. I began by pardoning myself, little did I know how important that would become, reaching behind them to retrieve my mat quickly, hoping not to break their conversational flow. Well, so far so good, except I forgot. I left my water bottle on my mat, and so it fell over and then it flowed. Oh, and baby, did it flow all over one of the women in particular who, it's safe to say, most definitely was unceremoniously sucked into my awkward situation vortex. She's probably still cleaning water out of her ears, I would imagine. I apologized profusely as the water seemed to continually bubble up as though my drink receptacle had tapped into a natural spring. Jumpin' Jack Flash, how many gallons did that bottle hold anyway? 2 paper towel rolls, 25 apologies, and 3 floor wipe downs later, I was headed out the door. My mop up on aisle 2 had turned into a spectator sport, so truth be told, I slunk out the door. I did end up laughing about it later, as I always do, once my face resumed its natural mottled hue instead of the flaming hot red version it adopts, especially for these situations. Ah, well, we can't choose our gifts, can we? Luckily, my sense of humor is another gift that sustains me, in addition to knowing how unlikely it would be to have another awkward situation arise so soon after, well, that Wednesday one, and then this morning with the gas pump. So later today, I felt like I was safe in sitting in one of my favorite cafes and just doing some writing until the hostess seated a couple on a 2-person bench. It was right across from me, facing me, where I was at the table by myself. So I'm looking directly at them, trying not to, just looking at, my laptop and my old school paper, which, yes, I do use binder paper when I'm writing. And they're fighting. And I'm now looking right at them, eyeball to eyeball, or try not to look at them. And then the fighting stops when they notice that one time when I did look at them, that I'm looking at them. And then I can't look away. Oh, crap on a stick. Why couldn't I look away? Oh, that's when my phone rang. Oh, sweet Mother Mary, thank you. I answered, acting as though I didn't have an awkward bone in my body. And it was the yoga studio. Evidently, I forgot my water bottle. Oh, real life, right? Well, before I get to my recommendations that I call the somethings, I'm going to introduce a short segment That's the opposite of to-dos. Aptly, it's called to-don'ts. And I only have one this time around. The to-don't this time around is don't buy soup. Yes, you heard that correctly. S-O-U-P. Soup from an unknown vendor at a farmer's market, even though it's a farmer's market. Just because the woman in the stall next to her yodels out, I cried with joy after I ate her soup. I'm convinced she was probably her sister. You probably already know this is a bad idea to buy unknown soup. Now, I have two words for you: boiled chicken. Now, I have one word for you: bad. And what kind of soup was it? Chicken squash soup. We'll go back to the one word: bad. Ugh. And now for the somethings. Something I'm listening to that is a totally fun song is called Where Is My Husband by the musician known as Ray. Being someone who was married to a musician in the 80s, it was a common question for me. True story. Oh, I'm laughing about it now, but back then, maybe not so much. So I'm obsessed with this fun song, Where Is My Husband? And in fact, I just added it to my dance class set. It's got a great groove. The lyrics are a hoot and a half, and yep, you can and should dance to it. Dance like everyone is watching. Something I accomplished, I've now checked off my list that I had, a big one: recording and uploading 6 podcasts in 3 months. And the one I'm recording right now is my 7th. And yes, I am going to continue with Bangs and Botox. I've got plenty more to say on so many subjects, including lots of baby boomer tales from the vault, stories about my grand Twinkies. Yeah, it'll be kind of funny, even if you're not into hearing about grand Twinkies. What FOMO, fear of missing out, looks like when you're an elder, old people food I love, and so much more, representing all the issues that concern us today, she said playfully, with a side of serious. They'll all be there. The next thing I did is, it's a lower bar task. I had an ailing philodendron that was quite peaked and looking to be a goner. I headed on out to the plant hospital, my greenhouse, and performed a flora transplant procedure. I'm happy to report the patient is doing well. It's a resounding success. Oh, wait a minute. Let me look. Check. Hold on. Let me look. It's in my office. Leaning back. Oh, okay. Yep. It's flourishing. So plant lovers everywhere, rejoice. Man, do I love me some YouTube for directions, because that's where I got my directions on how to save a philodendron. It's not just any plant. And something I learned, okay, this is crazy. You may already know this, but there are 3-word geographic locations. Watching all that British TV has been an education, let me tell you. Because I'm a fan of so many detective shows, I've learned things not to do so you have less of a chance of being murdered. So don't get in a fight in a hot tub. Don't go for a drive alone with Stabby McStabster. And then I learned this 3-word geographic location system, because there's a lot of kidnappings in these shows. It's called What 3 Words. I know, sounds like, wait, what? It's kind of like WhatsApp, but it's What 3 Words. It divides the world into a grid of 10-foot squares and assigns a unique 3-word address to each. This system is a simpler and more precise alternative to traditional street addresses or GPS coordinates for identifying a specific spot on Earth. Isn't that wild? So how does it work? Well, we'll pretend you asked. The system divides the entire globe into 57 trillion 10-foot squares, with each square assigned a unique 3-word combination. So, for example, if you're wondering, because again, the British shows, the location of the front door of 10 Downing Street, here it is. Slurs .this.shark. Slurs, SLURS, .this, THIS, .shark. When the shark bites. Yep, that's it. I know. What are you going to do with that information? I don't know. Take it to a cocktail party. Okay, I feel like cocktail parties is kind of like dating me. Oh, a wine circle. All right. Before I yodel out, that's a wrap, let's get to our closing essential question. Keeping with our theme of superpowers, you can flex while you say that. Are you giving yourself credit for and using, heck, flaunting your superpowers? They're unique. They need to be nurtured, celebrated, shared, chuckled about. Whether they're the serious ones I know you are in possession of, or the quirky ones maybe only a few folks like me are in possession of, they're what makes you memorable. That's a wrap for this week, dear listeners. Our experience is a shared one. Thank you for letting me share this time with you. You'll also find me wherever fine social media channels exist: Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, where I can be located under my alter egos of Ms. Right and Ms. Right Now. Remember, you are just plain super. Until our next Bangs and Botox, Women Who Wear Aging Well Comedy Coffee Clatch podcast, friends.